To really become an effective system administrator, you must become proficient in using text editing. There are a number of text editors on the Linux platform. A few of the most popular ones include VI or Vim related projects, Emacs, as well as Nano and Pico, which are simple text editors. I strongly recommend becoming familiar with Vim, which is the most popular among system administrators and can be found on virtually any Linux system you'll ever use. We're going to spend a few minutes learning Vim, since it can be a little confusing to somebody who hasn't used a modal text editor such as VI before. You'll find a file called Gettysburg Address, which contains the actual text of that speech. We can list it on the command line. To open the file in VI, we use VI or Vim, which is an enhanced version of VI, and then pass the file name. This opens the contents of the file. In a normal text editor, you might just start editing and deleting words and characters now, but that's not how VI works. VI is a modal text editor, and so in order to edit text, you need to be in the editing mode. The default mode, which you can always reach with the escape key, or called normal mode, lets you move around the file, but doesn't let you edit. In order to edit, you type I. Now look at the bottom of the screen and you'll notice the file name, Gettysburg Address, in quotes, followed by the number of lines and the number of characters. As soon as I press I, it changes to say that I'm in insert mode. This means I can start typing and editing text. To get back to normal mode, I hit escape. There's also command mode, which you reach with a colon. Notice when I type a colon, the bottom of the screen changes to a colon. Using command mode, I'm able to issue commands to the terminal. One useful command to know right away is how to quit. If you type colon followed by Q, enter, you quit the file. You need to know how to open and close files, so that's a critical one to keep in mind. Let's open it again. A final mode is visual mode. I type V to go in visual mode. Now I'm able to highlight lines, which I can use to copy and paste or make edits to the file. Hit escape to return to regular mode. Now we need to learn to move around. You can always move around with the cursor keys, the arrow keys in the bottom right part of your keyboard, but that's not the fastest way to move around in Vim. You can use H, J, K, and L, the keys on the home row of your keyboard, to move around. L goes right, H goes left, J goes down, and K goes up. You can move entire words at a time by typing W, or B to go back. You can type a $sign to go to the end of the line, or a 0 to go to the beginning of the line. Moving around with these hotkeys will make you a much faster and more effective text editor. I can search for a very specific letter on a line using the lowercase f. For example, on the second line, the word liberty starts with a capital L. If I type F capital L, I go to the first occurrence of the L, the capital L on the command line. Now in Vim, very commonly you can inverse the search with a capital. So for instance, the very beginning of this line starts with a lowercase a. In the word nation, there's also a lowercase a. So if I wanted to go to the a at the beginning, it's 2 a's over. In order to reach that, I will say 2, capital F to search backward, and then lowercase a. And it takes me to the first A on the line. This might sound cumbersome, but it's actually very effective once you become proficient at it. You'll recall that if we press I, we go into insert mode to begin typing characters. If I use capital I go to insert mode at the beginning of the line. I can also use A, lowercase a, to start appending to the text where my cursor currently is located, or I can use capital A to start typing at the end of the line. Sometimes you need to move your cursor around the file quickly, maybe even to specific lines. I can use the capital G for that. For instance, I can use capital G to go directly to the end of the line. I can type 2, capital G, to go to the second line in the file. If I have multiple pages of text, I can use Control F and Control B to page between the text. You'll also sometimes need to search within a file for something specific. And in order to search, you can use the / key. For instance, if I search for the word "and" in this file, I find several hits, and Vim highlights them for us. You can use the lowercase n key to switch between all of the hits, moving your cursor directly there. And if you use capital N, it searches backward. It's quite consistent. Next, we'll learn some basic editing with Vim. You can, of course, go into insert mode with a capital I and begin typing some text. You then hit escape to switch back out to command mode. Now, that's not necessarily the most efficient way to manage all text. You can use the X key to start deleting text. So if I'm on the B in begin, I can type X, and each time I type it, it deletes one character. If I decide I want to undo what I had just done, I can use the U key for undo. And if I use Control R, I can redo what I had just typed. I can delete entire words at a time by typing DW, or I can change a word, which means delete the word in front of my cursor and start inserting a new word. So for instance, if I'm on the S in the word score, I can type CW to delete the word score and type a new word. I can delete an entire line at a time using DD, or I can change a line using CC. If I need to open a new line, I can use lowercase o to open a new line below my cursor. Or if I need to open a line above my cursor, I can use capital O. I can also repeat the last command by simply typing the period. Finally, you can copy and paste in Vim using yanks. I can use YY to yank a line to my clipboard, and then I can paste it using P. I can paste it above my cursor using capital P. That's really the basics of using Vim. You can type :help in Vim to get to a help screen that will teach you how to move around and how to use the editor in more detail. It is a highly customizable and powerful editor, useful even for programmers who are power users and need to navigate around the file system. Let's quickly learn how to edit and use multiple files at a time. Now, I've made a bunch of changes to the Gettysburg Address, and I don't really want those reflected in history. So I'm going to quit without saving my changes. In order to do that, I use :q bang. Now, if I want to open multiple files, I can simply list them out on the command line, one argument at a time. In this case, I'll open 3 files: the Gettysburg Address, a script called postinstall.sh, and another script called passparser.sh, which we'll go through in detail in a later lesson. I now have 3 files open. In order to list the files, I can type :args, ARGS, which lists all of the arguments I passed to Vim. Notice at the bottom, it shows that I'm on the Gettysburg Address, indicating that that's the current file with square brackets, and that there are 2 additional files. I can type :next to go to the next file in the list. And I can type :prev to go to the previous file. Just as before, I can type :q to quit.